What do time travel and decision making have in common? Welcome back to the idea supply chain, where we take a look at where ideas come from and what makes those ideas valuable. Today, I wanted to talk about the concept of time travel. And the fact is, all of us really have the ability to time travel. We just don't think we do. Because typically, when you think of time travel, right, you imagine hopping in the DeLorean, getting up to 88 miles an hour, and moving through time and space, right? You're thinking that you have to physically have your body in a different time. But that's not actually true. In to really travel time, all you really need to do is you need to be able to recreate an exact moment in the past. And if you're trying to create an entire physical world in the past, it's a lot of work. We don't have all the data for that. But what you can do is you can actually go back and take a look at decisions you've made. And so I really do think that there's a lot that people miss about the idea of like time travel with your brain, because there's so much you can do to either go back in time and reflect on your past and take what you know now and apply that to what you've experienced in the past. Or you can go forward in time and see, okay, based on where I'm headed now, is this the future that I want to be in? If not, what future do I want to be in? And what do I have to do to get there? And this is actually backed up by a good bit of research. There's actually a book called Be Your Future Self Now that talks all about aligning like who you are now with the person that you want to be in the future, so that you can actually achieve that. And it's a really powerful mechanism for being happy and feeling fulfilled in your life. But I also think, besides just like the contemplative time travel that I kind of like to call it, where it's this all mental thing, you can actually do it with data too. But you have to be very, very precise in exactly what it is you're trying to do. And you do see some apps offer time travel. This is something that was interesting. I believe when React first came out, there was the concept of time travel in apps where you could basically walk back from a certain time and then replay that entire session of like what the user did, things like that. And that is a powerful mechanism. So one thing you want to do when you're looking to, time travel with information is basically you need to say, okay, what was the state of the system at a given time? And if you can actually figure that out, and it can be tough because a lot of systems, mutate, evolve over time. So any long stretch of time, it's going to be very, very hard to recreate the exact um, moment in time. But I actually have a theory that you don't need an exact copy. I think basically with a lot of our systems, it's possible to approximate the state of a system at a given time and kind of reduce it down to its component pieces. And so if you think of, a few key parts that really influence the system heavily, you don't actually need to be fully exact. And then you can kind of say, okay, well, what decisions were made? And, um, how would the introduction of different data of a different system state have affected the system's decision at a given time? And this is really interesting with LLMs. And so this is kind of where I've been thinking about this, because one of the things I believe that it's possible to do, and I haven't actually fully created the experiment to prove or disprove this, but basically I think that because LLMs have all of this data compressed into them, one thing you should be able to do is take a few points of context from a given point in time, and to basically have the the AI model create enough extra data from that context to provide a more full understanding of the kind of current state of the world at a given point in time, based on what it can access. And then, so if you do that in multiple points of time, it becomes really interesting, I think, to see how different things move through time, different understandings. Because one of the things I'm really curious about is like, okay, if we have kind of a general understanding of a given topic at this time, but somebody actually has this outlier opinion of, you know, what this thing means, or, the state of an industry or something like that, then what is that distance from like the cluster of all the information of like what everybody else believes and then what the outlier believes? And then I want to see if I can recreate that at a different time and see if that distance changes, or see if the density of data points changes. I think there's just a lot of really fascinating information in there that we haven't quite uncovered yet. And so I'm going to be running some experiments with that. And of course, I'll definitely share my results on here because I think it's a fascinating topic and I could talk about this stuff for quite a while. I think there are a lot of really interesting things that we can get out of the highly compressed information in LLMs. And so, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and figure out if we can use them to time travel. So that's the next experiment up on the list. And I think kind of getting back to that whole decision-making thing, that's really what you need to be careful about evaluating in the past, because a lot of times we think about outcomes, right? And, oh, well, that didn't go well. This worked great. But the reality is the outcomes don't match the decisions. And this is something I learned from being a poker player, right? You can make all the right plays, and sometimes you just get unlucky. You can still lose. But it doesn't mean it was the wrong decision in the time. And in poker, it's all about making the right decision over time more often than your opponents, because that's how you win long term. You have to have a very long term focus, because any individual hand can go, lucky or unlucky, but over time in poker, skill wins. And so in poker, when you want to time travel, you have to go back and look at your actual decision making, and then say, okay, well, what information did I need that would have changed the outcome, or that would have changed my decision at this time? And is it possible to get that decision? Obviously, one piece of information. Well, if I knew what they were holding, well, perfect. But you don't have that, so that's kind of not part of the game. But you can say, okay, well, I actually played this too aggressively. I got caught in a position where I shouldn't have been. So next time, if I'm in a similar situation, I can actually adjust that and make a different decision next time, to not put myself in that bad position. And this is something I speak of from experience, because I'm really good at putting myself into terrible positions in poker games. Something I've worked on, got a little bit better at that over the years, but don't play regularly enough to really get that experience back up now. So not a huge deal, but so there you go. Go out, start practicing time traveling. And again, check out that book, Be Your Future Self Now. I think that's really a fantastic book. Just in general, it's a short read, nice and easy. So do recommend that. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.